Hey everyone, welcome back to Summerz Truthz. It's Amber Summerz, Master Certified Life Coach and Advocate of Domestic Violence, Sexual Assault, and Child Abuse. I am back after a long-needed break. This year has been the start of something new and great, and today we get to begin Season 2 of Summerz Truthz together. So thank you for tuning in and following me through my journey of walking in my truth. Before we get started, if you haven't done so already, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. I want to ensure that you get updated with the new episodes that I'll be releasing here in the future. So the biggest question I've gotten is, what has life been like the past year since releasing episode 4 of season 1? And I can tell you that it has been a journey for sure. Not only did I find out that we are expanding our family of 3 in the next 2 months, but I have really had the chance to take time for myself mentally and spiritually. Healing and accepting what has happened hasn't come easy by any means, and people really don't realize how important healing is. You know, our journeys in life impact so much of our lives. And how we move through it is really what matters the most. As a child, I accepted the mind games that my father played, and I went along with his control and brainwashing. But deep down, I always knew that the life we were living wasn't normal. It wasn't until I turned 18 and I was really able to get a fresh breath of air and leave home for good. At least at this time, I thought so. But during this time, I gained a whole different perspective on life. I saw how other households were, how a man should really treat a woman. And once I saw that reality, I decided that I had to help others get out too. So I did make a vow to never stop trying. And through my healing journey, I had to really reflect on the things that I went through and the things that I experienced, because I wanted to understand how my childhood affected the person that I was, as well as the person that I am today. I do believe that people's childhoods affect their relationships with people, from intimate relationships to friendships to being a parent. And I can speak firsthand to this because although I have an amazing marriage with my husband, there are parts of me that are broken from my childhood. And those parts have affected how I feel and how I have acted at times completely unintentionally. Now, this goes for being a parent. We want to do great things for our children, and sometimes we find ourselves giving them way more than what they need, or way too little because we were never taught these things correctly. And because we just may not have had the best role models growing up. At the beginning of my relationship, I was so broken from everything that I went through as a child that I didn't even know it. I was so damaged that I couldn't see what a great man my husband was. And I pushed him away. Now, luckily, he did stick it out, and he rode that ride with me. But if it wasn't for his patience and his understanding, I don't know how I would have brought myself back out of that dark place. He helped me love myself, which ultimately resulted in me loving him even more. And I'm more than grateful for him today. Now, even after that, the past 7 years of marriage has taken us through so much. The death of my mother definitely put a strain on our marriage for a while because grief can really change a person. And I most definitely was not myself. You know, it took therapy and deep conversations for us to really get back to who we were meant to be together. And even to this day, it is still a journey that we are on. And one of the things I can sit here and say confidently is he is my person, because not everyone is willing to stay with someone through such a tough situation, but he did. Emotional support is difficult at times, but it's completely unforgettable. Something about being emotionally invested in growing with your partner long terms is one of the most beautiful things. My husband is a one-of-a-kind man, and I wish my mother had someone like him. He's the kind of man I wish I had as a father. With my mom, I wish she knew what she deserved in life because she clearly saw what I deserved, and she saw how amazing Eric was, and she loved the heck out of him. She would tell me all the time how great he was and what an amazing father he was. And the last thing she told him was, take care of my baby. It's crazy that she was able to recognize the kind of man that he was to me, but she allowed herself to stay with someone like my father, who was the complete opposite. I always provided my mom with encouragement and told her how proud of her I was for all of the things that she did in life, as well as the things that she was doing, because I knew that she never heard that from my father. And I also never stopped telling her that she needed to leave him. Now, you know the saying, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. Well, it's true, because no matter how much I told my mom that she needed to get out, she wouldn't leave, even when she was hurting the most. I just wanted her to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that life could be even brighter without him. I was beyond persistent, and one day she finally grew the courage and said, enough is enough, after half of her lifetime of experiencing hurt by the hands of my father. Now, a part of me is always going to be proud of her for taking that step. Regardless of her no longer being here with me anymore, she did grow the strength to leave. But it does make me wonder, what was that turning point that made her decide on leaving? Was it because I took my 15-year-old sister from them? Was it because his behavior grew more and more irrational? Or was there something else that I wasn't aware of or that I didn't know or see? One thing I do know for sure is that she loved him so much, and there is no denying it. If you followed my podcast in the past and you've been with me through my journey, you would know that my mom wrote my dad a letter by email the night that he murdered her, and I found it saved in her drafts. This is something she never got the opportunity to send to him, and something that he never got the opportunity to read. In the end of her letter, she wrote, I just don't know what the future will bring, as the pain from one day to the next is way too much. But I do feel that one day we can reunite and be better for it. I don't think she ever thought anyone but him would read it. But I found it, and I can honestly say it broke me. Because not only did she have hopes of being with him again, she really wanted to fix her abuser. The man who inflicted pain upon not only her, but her children for years. Something that she also admitted to him in her letter. She acknowledged that she wasn't perfect and that she did make mistakes. But in private, she told me how happy she was to finally be free of him. And I found that so far from the truth after reading her letter. What really made her stay with him for 27 years? As an outsider looking in, what do you think caused my mom to stay? Was it because she thought she needed him financially? And if you remember, I mentioned previously, my mom made over 6 figures. She was intelligent. And she didn't get to save a penny because she paid all of the bills. While my dad had a good career, but when he got paid, he spent all of his checks on God knows what. Was it because she was afraid of him and leaving? And a part of me does say yes, because, what else would there be? But that's something that she never admitted to me, no matter how many times I asked. Or was it because she was afraid of being alone? And a part of me also says yes, because she did grow up without her dad, and she saw what divorce did to her mother. I just never understood how she could stay with someone who hurts her children so badly that he leaves them unconscious. I can't question my love for my mom. I just question the love that she had for her children. Because how could she love us so much, but she turned her head the moment my dad raised his hand to beat us? It's an ugly truth that no one who knew my mom wants to hear. Because it is my reality, it is my life story, and it is my truth, and it's something that I cannot hide or pretend didn't happen. She did always ensure that we had everything that we needed, even if it meant her not getting a new outfit, and we did. But that does not make up for the neglect that she allowed us to go through. Through all of this, the things that I did as a child, I learned and I knew the kind of mother that I wanted to be for my children. I'm not perfect, but my kids could never say that I did anything to hurt them or mentally scar them, because I lived my childhood so differently than most, and I was trapped as a prisoner to my father, and I vowed to do the complete opposite. I want my kids to feel loved unconditionally. I want them to know what it's like to see two parents who truly love each other and treat each other with the utmost respect. I want them to never be afraid of me. And I want them to always come to me with anything they need or need to talk about. All of the things that I didn't have or see growing up, but I desired. This is all I want for my kids and more. My mother was a sweet woman. She was beyond smart and intelligent. I just wish that she had the courage and the mental strength to have been better for herself and for her children. So when I sit back and I think about the biggest part of my healing journey, it's accepting what I cannot fix and knowing that I do love my mother deeply despite her flaws and the things that she allowed me to go through. Grieving her has been the hardest part for me because I wanted nothing more but to be able to be close to her for once in my life and truly get to know her outside of him. Something that I now will never have the chance to do. Hurt people hurt people. And it's true when they say this because my mom was my example, but my father is no different. He grew up abused, and he never felt any form of love from the people who raised him. And for that, he hurt everyone close to him. He could have broken that cycle if he had taken the right steps to get himself help. But he believed he was fine, and he believed he didn't need the help. I wanted nothing more but to love my father as a child. But he made it impossible with how much he abused me and put me down. I was forced to tell him I loved him, or I was punished. Telling him I loved him was the only way that he would give me the things that I actually needed, like female products or money for a project, and sometimes even food or a shower. So to this day, I do try and think back to a time when he made me feel loved. And I cannot think of one. A smile for the picture does not do my life justice, and buying me something after beating me sure doesn't either. I could never love him. It was impossible, or it was just too hard for me to try. Because when I did try to get to know him, I was beaten for asking too many questions. So I learned to keep my distance from him and to shut my mouth. Reflecting on my past and my childhood has been very hard, but I know that there are others who have been through the same as me. And sharing my story has given me a different kind of strength and courage in life. And I have a fire that is inside of me. And it's to help others see the light and to escape situations that they feel are impossible. Speak up. If you know someone dealing with a mental illness, domestic violence, or child abuse, there are resources available to help, and you could be potentially saving or helping their life. If you are unsure if you are in a domestic violence relationship, sit down and talk to me. And if you are looking for a life coach, please reach out to me because I may be able to help you. In my next episode of Summerz Truthz, we'll be sitting down and getting the opportunity to discuss the different types of domestic violence, because there are different forms of domestic violence and it does not look the same for everyone. So please stay tuned for that episode. I look forward to seeing you all back. Thank you again for tuning in to Summerz Truthz, Season 2, Episode 1. This is only the start of an even better and deeper season. I will see you guys all again next time.